On this week's GTA 5 o'clock, Mafia 3 versus GTA 5, Los Santos versus Louisiana, Michael, Trevor and Franklin versus Lincoln Clay. It's all here on this week's GTA 5 o'clock. Hello and welcome to this week's GTA 5 o'clock. I'm your host James Jarvis, and this week I'm joined by Mr. Trophy, Ian Wilson.
Hello.
Hello, remembered Mr. Trophy this week.
Excellent.
This week we are going to look at something slightly different in a continuing theme of things that we're doing slightly different on the show. We're going to take a look at Mafia 3 in comparison to GTA 5.
Yes.
So this is another Take-Two title. Now, Take-Two own Rockstar and 2K, who are publishing Mafia 3. So, I mean, there are similarities, basically. Yes. But this Mafia 3 is developed by Hangar 13, but 2K want to make the distinction between the two games, basically. They want to say that Mafia 3 is its own game, and they didn't really want any comparisons to Rockstar's series.
Yeah, exactly.
So as such, we're going to compare the two
in great detail.
They also said that there wasn't any tech sharing between the two studios and developers and things like that, which personally I would want if I was making a big open world game with shooting and car driving and music and things in it. I'd go, let's just go speak to Rockstar.
Yeah, well, maybe Rockstar weren't too keen on sharing all their amazing tech they developed for their game. Who knows?
Possibly, but you've probably seen some of the footage of Mafia 3 already. We'll have some on screen throughout this, but it looks amazing. It looks every bit as good as GTA 5, just in a different setting with different people and things. So let's start with the setting. Now, GTA 5 is Los Santos, a modern-day Los Angeles. Has pretty much everything you'd expect a game that was going to be set in a fictionalized Los Angeles to have, right?
Yeah, like anyone who's been to the actual Los Angeles will like recognize a lot of landmarks and sort of, obviously not the entire city, but yeah, there are areas of it that will be very familiar if you've been there before. And
even areas that have been mapped by, the people on GTA forums and on Reddit and things. You can actually see like specific streets where they can go down and go, here's the Google map picture, and here's it in GTA 5, and it looks like exactly the same. Exactly. So you can, some of the streets are shortened or have different buildings in it, but it's pretty much a very good representation of a scaled down LA.
Exactly.
Mafia 3, on the other hand, is 1968 Louisiana.
Yeah.
Now, not a lot of us were around in 1968.
No.
And definitely didn't live in Louisiana. Well, me and you didn't.
No, certainly not.
So it's a reimagined New Orleans,
yeah.
They've said. So it's going to be, I think you're going to have some landmarks of New Orleans in there.
Sure.
But it probably won't be like mapped in the same way that GTA 5 was mapped out into specific cities.
Yeah. And I guess it's probably also, there's not quite as iconic as LA for a lot of people, so
and it's changed a lot, right?
Yeah,
it's 1968, so you're not going to have the same things back then as you do now.
Exactly.
So it's the good thing about New Orleans, I guess, it's like surrounded by lakes. So you have a big city in the middle, and then you've got sort of like Lake Salvador and other lakes and the coastline. So in typical open world GTA fashion, it's almost an island.
Yeah.
Almost.
So
I'd imagine it'll have some kind of island watery barriers around the general city to stop you going anywhere. Yeah. They've also got a national wildlife refuge close to New Orleans, which suggests maybe we'll get to see some animals.
Oh, that'd be good, yeah.
Or go to maybe a zoo. Everyone's always wanted a zoo in games.
Well, in GTA, we had a lot of requests for that when we did our little request thing a while back. That was, people have some interesting ideas what to do with the zoo, but we'll not go there now.
You've got the main city of New Orleans, and then slightly north of it, there's a smaller Baton Rouge. It's not a village, but it's a smaller city.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, if they were rifting off the travelling between two different locations, like we've done before, they could use that as a different setting, slightly different environment up there. In terms of the stuff you get, obviously in GTA 5, you've got shops, corner shops, cinemas.
Yeah, all that stuff.
all of that. And in Mafia 3, There's a lot of like jazz clubs around, not bad jazz.
Inverted commas, jazz clubs.
Yeah, actual jazz
Yeah.
clubs.
Yeah.
'Cause obviously, the jazz scene is quite hot in 1968.
It is, yeah.
There are strip clubs as well. We've seen in the footage signs
Right.
for strip clubs. Don't know if you can go in them. I imagine you can.
Probably.
As you are part of the Mafia, which we'll get onto a bit later on in terms of the story.
Yeah.
So, there's times that you'll probably want to go and do bad stuff in the world with all of your
Ill-gotten
magnificent
gains,
wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
Ill-gotten gains. Good.
Ah,
Good throwback.
yes, yeah.
They've also obviously got the Mississippi River running through it. Lots of things you could do there with boats and stuff. There's a French Quarter,
Right.
which, GTA has its Chinatown and its suburbs and its
Sort of
things like
distinct
that.
districts.
Yeah, so there's potential to add districts into that. There's horses. There were horses around in 1968. I've
Yeah.
seen a picture of one. They may or may not be in the game. It might be nice to have different modes of transport. Not very good for getting away from things.
No, and certainly not through like the centre of town or anything. But if you're looking at a more outskirty area,
Yeah. I mean, we've seen in the trailer that he takes one of the guys to like a lake or a big
it's
expanse
definitely a
of water.
secluded area, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so I mean that could be one of the lakes, and he does drive there. Whether that implies that you drive there, you can drive out there in the game or not, we will see. They've got a dock, obviously, and the steamboats around in that kind of time. And the New Orleans Saints had their second season in the NFL in 1968.
Oh, good fact.
So maybe there'll be some kind of stadium.
Could be.
There's potential for like all of the things that you're familiar with seeing in these open world games to exist.
Exactly.
There's obviously the real life events as well going on that they could reference. Like it's a reimagined New Orleans, but maybe the Vietnam War is still going on. That's very prominent to the story.
Well, this is it. Yeah.
We've got 2001: A Space Odyssey coming out, so possibly you're going to get some cinemas in the game.
Oh,
Go
coming
and
soon.
see.
Yeah.
Hair, the musical, opened on Broadway.
Right.
Where we're going to get theatres. And I mean, I'm just throwing these ideas out there.
Yeah. Okay.
And obviously, Martin Luther King got assassinated
Yes.
in that year, so there's massive unrest.
Yeah.
And that's partly the crux of the story as well in the game.
Sure.
So talking of the story, let's move on to that. GTA 5, you've got three, the heroes and the story. You've got Michael, Trevor, and Franklin. So in Mafia 3, they're taking, I think, a slightly different approach. We've got one lead character called Lincoln Clay. Now, he's a Vietnam veteran, but interestingly, he does have three lieutenants, which he can sort of order around. Now, whether or not you get to play as any of these at any point during the story, we don't know. I mean, they could do that. They could do the sort of jumping.
Yeah, even if it's just for like a specific mission or even just a part of a mission where you've got your lieutenants involved and you're jumping between the different characters to do like different elements of that mission.
That's a technique that they could lift from GTA. So what happens is he's got these three lieutenants, and if you take over properties in the game, you can then assign your lieutenants to like manage that property and like look after it. So you've got Cassandra, Burke, and Vito, who's in Mafia 2.
Mafia 2, main character.
I think you'll probably meet them throughout the game. You probably won't start with 4. It's all about building up your family.
Sure.
You'll probably meet them at different stages. And then once you take over a location, you can then ring them up on the phone and go, come over and manage this property for me.
That's it. And I think the suggestion is whichever one of those three lieutenants you put in to manage that place will then affect maybe what happens in that area, potentially like how that area then appears in the future if they maybe redevelop it or do certain things to it. So so it can make a difference to the actual, maybe even to the city itself as well as what's going on.
Yeah, I think
which one you put in.
I think so. And obviously the people that you've taken that establishment from are not happy about it.
No.
So there's a lot of retaliation things going on.
Yeah, reminiscent of maybe the old turf wars there.
Yeah, I think it's very reminiscent of that. So Lincoln Clay, in terms of the story, he's obviously back from Vietnam. The rest of his he was an orphan growing up.
Right.
So the rest of his family, like adopted family, have been killed while he's been away. And he is now on a revenge mission against the Mafia to go and like take back his city, basically.
Okay.
So we've got that, which leads us into gameplay and how it all works. Now, obviously in GTA 5, we're used to the massive open world that it brings. You get to do what you want. You can do, go just for a walk if you want.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
you can get an attack helicopter and
Rampage.
blow everything up.
Yeah.
It's got loads of violence in it. It's obviously known for its violence. Now, there was a thing we did a couple of weeks ago on what you want to see in GTA 5, and someone said more punching animations.
They did.
Now, if you want more punching animations, maybe Mafia 2 has you covered.
Mafia 3.
Mafia 3 has you covered.
Yes.
They've got sort of hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, it's a sort of there's different like melee, some sort of melee system I think that they've got in there by the looks of it, and it's from the clips that we've seen so far, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, I went to see it at Gamescom and had like an extended demo of the footage that we've got on screen, and there was a lot of stabbing men in the neck.
Stabbing men in the neck, like there's one where a guy gets kind of like sort of like rugby tackled into a wall, and then he grabs his head and smacks it into the top of the wall and stuff. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah, so that should meet all the requirements for that side of things. Now Mafia 3 is going to be an open world.
Yeah.
But traditionally, the Mafia games, like Mafia 2 especially, it was open world, but he used it more as like a backdrop to the story.
Sure.
So we don't know how open it's going to be, like whether you do get the GTA style of here is the entire city, do what you want, or whether it's more story driven, where you can choose different routes to go. Like it's like here's this section, you have to get over there. Get over there how you want.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think the bit that we saw at Gamescom, it was infiltrating a drug den, I think it was. Andy was talking about, and in there it sounded like you had the option of kind of just walking in through the like legitimate front of the business. It was like a club out the front, or you could go around the back and take out the bouncer, like protecting like the secret back door and sneak in that way. Or there was a third route as well. You could go into it. So potentially, within those missions and the ultimate target, there may well be sort of multiple routes you can take depending on how you want to play the game.
Yeah, I guess if you're thinking comparing it to GTA, it's a bit like the way Leicester would go. Do you want to go in loud or quiet on this heist?
Sure.
You get the choice of going in the front door with your guns out or trying to stealth your way in. Obviously, stealthing your way in gives you less resistance, makes it a bit easier for you.
Yeah.
There's also like interrogation things that you get to do in the world. So someone will tell you in the world of Mafia 3, this guy is got information on a drug den, and then you have to go and find him and beat him up.
Yeah, beat him up, interrogate him. As I think there's one again was very similar, very reminiscent of a GTA style mechanic, getting the informant in the car with you and having to drive aggressively in order to like fill a fear bar to get them to spill the information they got by like kind of driving towards oncoming cars and doing drifting and all that sort of thing. Yeah,
there's loads of that. So there's a lot of things that are going to be similar in both worlds, I think. And finally, then onto the music. Now, GTA obviously has been quite famous for having a lot of amazing music in it. In GTA 5, we had like Britney, Outkast, Flying Lotus, Elton John, Phil Collins, Queen, the likes of Bobby Brown, All Saints, and Wham.
Yeah.
Now,
strong mix.
Obviously, like Rockstar are brilliant at getting the music to fit the kind of game that we've got, and it looks like 2K are going the same route for Mafia 3 as well. We've heard House of the Rising Sun, and Paint It Black, with All Along the Watchtower as well. But I think there's loads of other artists around that time that they could have on the soundtrack.
Yeah,
they've got like more Hendrix, Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Cliff Richard, he was around.
Interesting.
His song "Congratulations" was second in the Eurovision Song Contest that year.
That would be interesting if that was worked in.
I don't know how they do it.
No. But I'd like to see that happen. That'd be quite interesting.
Yeah, we've got like Aretha Franklin, the Beatles, and Otis Redding.
Yes.
There was obviously like loads of tunes that they could choose from. I imagine. Do you think these? I mean, we've seen in the trailer the guy playing with the radio. Do you think it'll be a similar?
I would imagine that. Yeah, it would definitely be when you get into a car, you'll have a choice of radio stations, and that music will be playing through that. Whether there'll be, and obviously I assume there'll also be like music context sensitive to particular missions. So you might be at a certain point in a mission, or when you complete a mission, you hear a particular song that kind of fits in with the whole vibe of what's going on at the time.
Yeah, because in the demo that we saw, the music was like almost overlaid over the top of the action.
Yeah.
So he'd be like walking around and shooting people, and the music would still be playing. Now, whether that was just like for the effect of the demo of going, hey, look, we've got these cool tunes in it, or that they do trigger at certain points to make everything a bit more like, well, I love this song, and I'm shooting this man and jumping out of the car, and it's like all amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. That would be an interesting way to do things. But then also, you know, you'd have to have you'd think, a radio station in the car.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's 1968. You're not going to be walking down the street with your iPod or whatever listening to music that way. So.
No. Okay, well, the game is out 2016 on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So lots to look forward to. If you like this, let us know. Maybe we'll do a Mafia 3 o'clock or something. Or change GTA 5 o'clock into something else if you want us to look at other games instead of GTA. I know some of you have been like saying at the moment, you know, there's not a lot of GTA stuff around. Yeah. Why don't you do something else?
Yeah, there's really not a lot of GTA stuff around at the moment.
No, no, there isn't. Yeah, let us know. Like, put GTA 5 or Mafia 3 or another game in the comments below, and we'll see what the opinion is, and maybe we can change this into a deeper look at other games other than GTA. We could start concentrating on Mafia, we could do a different game, but that's up to you guys. Let us know, and we will come back next week at 5 p.m. with the results.